back to Racel 1918. Today I'm not going to be too long. I just basically want to talk about a couple of things. Quick review of the Leeds West Ham game. After the review, touching a couple of games that impacted us dramatically and hopefully will do going forward as well over the weekend. And then looking ahead to our next game, which I have a lot of hope for now. Maybe where I had less hope last week. And yeah, we'll look forward to the other games that other teams have as well. There's a lot of hope, I think, now where I think a lot of us were probably skeptical about. Like a couple of things that I will talk about here is I want to talk about the West Ham game. Listen, the result, brilliant result, much needed. They're in massive difficulty. I've seen a few of their fan channels. They're not happy. They have them gone down, and they've got them gone down, on a whimper. So it's massively important that we get 3 points there. Through the game, first half, best first half of football I've seen this season. Top drawer, the left wing, Gudmundsson and Okafor. Those two men being fit for Brighton is so imperative. It is unbelievable. They make such a difference, and they will make such a difference to for our team against any team in the league. Whether it's on a counter or whether it's in possession, those two men give natural balance. But Okafor gives the drive on the ball. He can twist and turn both ways. And then whenever he cuts inside and the right, you've got Gudmundsson going down in the overlap. It gives you so much in terms of creativity. And it also gives us so much more in terms of DCL. Gudmundsson loves a cross. Okafor, he loves rifling the ball in. DCL is going to be there or thereabouts. And with those two men on the pitch, it's really important that we get DCL in the right areas, which he's been doing. And I see a stat there a while ago. DCL's missed like 5 or 6 big chances in the league and all the rest. And listen, I can stand and give grief to any man, but I'll defend DCL to the cows come home in this, because he's been doing a thankless task up there a lot of the time this season, running his socks off, running himself into the ground. And by the time, by the time a chance comes, he's just knackered. He's just running around like a blue horse fly, and closing people down, getting on the end of lost causes, or maybe a ball goes up and he's trying to compete with 2-3 centre backs. And by the time the ball is put in, it's not. And to be fair, a lot of the balls that have been put into him this season, they've not been great. But he's made some things happen. It's just that wee bit of luck. He just needs a goal. And I think against Brighton, I think this is a big duel, him and Dunk. It's a well-known duel with these two over the years in the Premier League. It's a well-run path. So I think DCL's definitely got a shout here, as long as he's fit and we keep him wrapped up in cotton wool. As long as we have Okafor and Gudmundsson. Hopefully we'll find out later on in the week from Daniel, from Farga, what exactly was wrong with Gudmundsson. I know we said it was hopefully a bruise, but well, we really need that just to be a bruise. And if he needs to take a couple of painkillers, just get on the pitch and do what you got to do. You have 2 games in the international break. Let's get those 2 games over us. On the right hand side, people will understand my reservations. Bogle, he's took to the Premier League like a duck to water. The man going forward, crossing ability, brilliant, closing down on the front foot as well. Very, very, you cannot, for the amount of money we pay for him, I think it was about £5 million. That man is quadrupled his value, in my opinion, or more, just by his performances this season, and then obviously last season in the Championship alone. But in front of him is the concern. And let's be honest, everybody can bleat on all the leg about Brendan had a great game, and he did. And don't get me wrong when I say this, I have been his biggest critic. You can watch my videos. I have been his biggest critic. But Brendan Aronson in the last game was absolutely brilliant. And the reason why he's brilliant, and this is the thing going forward to the next game, as I said in the last video, we've got to take game by game. We can't look in blocks of 6. I was looking at the next 6 fixtures going, where are we getting points out of here after the Burnley loss? I'm more optimistic now, but I'm more optimistic because Don James is on the bench in the last game and he got minutes. I'm more optimistic because Okafor got minutes. So we have got alternatives there. We can't start Harrison and we cannot start Aronson together. It has to be one or the other, or neither. I think Jack Harrison, a cover at left back, will be all right. To cover Gudmundsson. Defensively, I have no problems with Jack going forward. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the legs. Can't get round the man. Can't beat the man. Sometimes his striking ability with the ball, crossing it in, he overhits, underhits. Can't beat the first man. If he does beat the first man, he beats everybody in the box. So it's with Jack, it's frustrating because he does have the talent. With Brendan the other day, it was like watching, as I said, it was like that run that he made past Suchek, and I was like prime Maradona. However, I need a caveat that I looked at the West Ham guys' reaction to this, and what they were saying was Paqueta let him run past them. He was on the yellow, couldn't foul him. Suchek was running through sludge, and Irving is a League Two player at best, and he shouldn't be anywhere near the team. We, in that first half, were top drawer. Our 2 defenders, 2 centre backs were immense. Perry and Nets, not a foot wrong, not a fault. I think they all did very well. I think Rodon, head and shoulders above everybody on the pitch from minute 1 to minute 90, whatever it was. I think Rodon was top drawer, and I think Bijol was very good as well. Very good. Let's be honest. It was if you're going to put that down to anybody and say this is going to be your debut, your league debut, you'd take that all day long. That man was very good. Couple of really good last ditch tackles, couple of good interceptions, winning balls in the air like he was a mountain, and it helps him that alongside him. I think Rodon's probably one of the best central defenders we've had in a long time at Leeds, and he's been consistent. This is his 3rd season, and he's been very consistent. The midfield, I think the first half, the midfield was by far and away, hands down, the best midfield. We called for it. I called for Tanaka to come in, possibly for Stack, which it did happen, thankfully. Farka, I have to hold my hands up as well, making those changes. Was very brave. He did. It worked. My worry about this amazing first half was the second half. The concern I had was we were 2-0 up. You cannot defend from. You can't go just defending for 45 minutes in the Premier League. You'll get picked off. And to be fair, West Ham played in front of us a lot. They couldn't break us down. It was a great ball in, great header, equalising goal. I think it was Fernandez. Look, the keeper didn't have a chance. Great ball in, caught the defence, great header, perfect timing of the run as well. If that was us, we'd be raving about it. It was just a top drawer goal. But again, whenever you look at West Ham, you're not really surprised by that, because going forward they've got some really good players. Defensively, they are so bad. However, the second half, Brendan was out in his feet. DCL was out in his feet. There's criticisms that we could put at Farka, and to be fair, I don't want to rest on it because I don't want to go too far in it, because we did win the game overall, so he deserves credit. However, we can't do that against better teams, and people have to understand something. The concern that people like myself have is this: Farka's tactical nous throughout the game and in the game concern me. purely because he's a very reactive manager when it comes to making subs. I can't remember the last time Farke made a sub that was not forced. Like Goodmanson the other day was the first sub. It was a forced sub. You know, Okafor at half time, again, forced sub. Tactically, he put on Jack Harrison and he dropped defensively. For 45 minutes against the Premier League team, anybody else, you're gonna get battered, like more so than what West Ham did, just because people have to understand something too. We played West Ham, we beat them. We've played Wolves, we've beat them. And we played Everton and we beat them. So we've won 3 games in the league this season. What do they all have in common? Wolves are bottom of the league. West Ham are second bottom in the league with the worst defence in the league. And Everton was the first game of the season where the match is scored in out of time, a penalty in out of time. And to be fair, I thought it was a good representation. We were okay. We were letting the players be. We give them a bit of leeway. We didn't create a lot at all in that game. In fact, the penalty is probably one of the only things we did create. So we'll take that win all day long, especially against like an Everton team that we thought will probably do bits this season. But in the reality, they're not a great team. They've got a couple of really good players, but they don't have an overall great team. I think we full strength team for ourselves. We have a better team. It's we getting the players in the pitch. My concern about that would be about Daniel and his tactics. I'd be less concerned had he got the squad we all know he wanted and we all know he needs. So if Daniel Farke had a replacement right winger instead of Dan James, or a right winger that starts ahead of Dan James, then Dan James either becomes the number 2 or the person that we sign becomes the number 2. And unfortunately, Brendan is playing out there, and Brendan's not a right winger, so he's playing out of position ultimately. We can't play a 10 because we don't have a 10, which means then ultimately through the middle, our striker is isolated. So tactically, our striker from the central part of the pitch is isolated. My concern about that is then we're relying on a midfielder to get forward. And Tanaka's probably the better out of the 3. We've seen Ampadu the other day, God love him, like we've seen him the other day make a fantastic run through the middle of the West Ham, then their entire team, and he cuts in on the left hand side, and he just doesn't know what to do. But again, it's not. I say the other day, it's not a strength, so I'm not overly concerned about that. We just need to get forward, to move forward, and then hopefully come the international break, get people wrapped up in cotton wool and ready to go. Because from this international break to the 1st of January, it's a bit of a slog. In this game, how dominant were we in the first half? I'm going to tell you, first half, we were hammering them on shots and goal. We were hammering them, beating them all hands down on possession, shots on target, clear-cut chances, all that. However, second half came, and what happened? It flipped the shit. Look, the end of the game, West Ham had 60% possession. We totally surrendered possession of West Ham in midfield. Again, against a better team in the Premier League, you cannot do that. West Ham came into the game. They started, I wouldn't say they peppered the goal, but at the end of the day, they started shooting. They started to create. Whenever they put on Potts and Fernandes, that midfield was a lot different. And whenever we had started to lose that midfield battle and they brought on fresh legs and better quality players, that concerned me a wee bit, especially when I know it was late on, but we went 2-1 up, and they'd scored their goal, and I was just worried about that midfield, and that last 3 or 4 minutes to get over the line's huge, and I'll tell you why it's huge. As things stand, we're 15th in the league. Take that all day long. We are on 11 points. We're joint with Everton. Now, big result yesterday. Everton got, well, look, in the end, they got well beat. They got beat 3-0. But their goal difference is -3. So they've went from, we had -5, and Everton's went from having a neutral goal difference to being in touch with goal difference and being in equal points. So in actual fact, we're actually joint 14th in the positive outlook. We're 6 points clear of Forest in the relegation zone. Forest, again, I said I'll touch on the last weekend there. Forest were abysmal. Sean Dyche put on Anawunyi up front whenever they were 2-0 down, and they just went long ball, really. And it was like, that's fine if that's your strength, but they're just not clicking. And I think they're having the same type of issue that Liverpool's having. Liverpool have lost the last 4 in a row. And I think the issue with Forest and Liverpool is that they've brought so many players in that they've completely ripped up the DNA of the team that they had last season. And we have Brighton and then Forest. We've got to take advantage of that. If that means us going 4-5-1, 4-3-3, long ball, route one, get somebody in around the match, DCL, we got to do it. Play to our strengths. Okafor, Dan James, they need to be fit. They need to be playing. Like, I look at the Brighton game as well. Brighton played Man U. United obviously beat them 4-2. Brighton can be got on. Like, I'm just going to have a wee quick look at their actual team whilst we're on here. So up front, started for Brighton was Donny Welbeck. Donny Welbeck's about 1,442 years old. Rudder was on, he started, but again, he gets taken off quite a lot. Like, there's a lot of, and like Milner comes on as well. Milner actually gets one of the assists. There's so many players in that team that are very good technically, but I think physically we can get at them in the midfield. So Farke, I think, has a decision to make within our midfield. It's, will we go stack Longstaff and Ampadu to have the physicality and the legs and the drive and really push through their centre and breach them? But if you do that, you take away from the support in the midfield for a DCL. That works if you have James and Okafor. If you have Aronson and Harrison, it doesn't, because you need somebody up there with DCL, because those two guys ultimately, they'll defend and they'll run and they'll work all day, but their output going forward's not great. When you look at Jack's had zero really positive output this season when it comes to goals, assists and things like that. Until the last game, Brennan was the same. Brennan had a great run the last game, and he also had the goal. Does Brennan start? More than likely Brennan starts, because how can you take him out after that good performance? My opinion is you've got to be cutthroat. If I'm Daniel Farke, I'm looking at the game going, we have to win this game. We can win this game. We've got to get something from the game. If we get a point, it's a great point in my opinion. But I also think that Brighton, the way things are right now for Brighton, I think they can. Like, for example, Brighton have played the same games as us. They've won 3, drawn 3, lost 3. They're 1 point ahead of us on the table. So they've not started amazingly well. They've done okay. For Brighton's standard, out of the last few seasons, they've done okay. They will be okay. They'll be fine. But there's something in the game that we can get out of this game. As again, the game after that's the Forest game. I think we can get something out of that game as well. And before I move on, obviously there are direct rivals. That we've talked about, West Ham and Wolves. We've talked about Brighton, who were playing, Forest, Burnley, great win last few minutes there as well. It's probably the better of, there's 3 results there: a win to Wolves, a draw, or a win to Burnley. And an ideal scenario would have been a draw. Ultimately, it's a win to Burnley. It's not the worst result because it keeps Wolves at the bottom of the table. So I'm happy with that. As long as Wolves even if Wolves had to beat Burnley, it would have brought them down. Listen, overall it was a good result. Going into this weekend, we currently are 6 points clear of Forest, who are 3rd from bottom. The big thing for us is this: we have Brighton. We can get something. 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff. We can get something out of that game. Burnley are at home to Arsenal. We've already played Arsenal. We need Arsenal to turn up and chin Burnley and hopefully wreck their goal difference as well. There's a game here that intrigues me as well, the Crystal Palace Brentford game. Brentford had a really good result the other day. However, I think over the course of the season they're going to get caught. They have a big long throw and all the rest. It's reminiscent of Stoke, 15 years ago. But ultimately, they're not a great team. They've got a big arsenal in a long directed throw, which is a great tactic to have, especially if you want to stay up. But I don't think they're a great team. They're not better than us. We just need. They're the teams we need to be in and around and beat. This is a big one for us. The next one I'm going to touch on, Fulham. Fulham, I think, is 8 points. Wolves at bottom of the table. Fulham are under us. I think Muniz is bound to be looking at it and going, have I made the right decision in staying at this club? I would love Wolves to beat Fulham. If the Wolves team comes out, the way Wolves played in the second half of the second part of the first half, if that Wolves comes out against Fulham, Wolves can get something out of this game. This is not a guarantee for Fulham, because Fulham are shaky defensively. They're shaky. We had chances against Fulham. We could have got something out of that game. We should have got something out of that game. There's another one after this. It's Forest United. So United are away to Forest, but United are currently playing okay. They've got talent around the pitch. They could chin Forest. I'm going to throw something here. If we could chin Brighton and United chin Forest, no matter what happens, West Ham if Burnley could chin we could be 8 points, 9 points clear of the relegation zone after 10 games. Massive. And that's not even touching on the likes of let's be honest, Sunderland, second in the league. Wow. People say recruitment and all the rest. Listen, Sunderland had a great result against Chelsea. Great result against Chelsea. But they also had, out of the 3 promoted teams, the easier start of the season, and people will slag them up. But listen, we'll have to play everybody in the league. We all do. So it's just about trotting on. Keep going. We need Okafor. We need Don James. But if Daniel Farke doesn't have the tools, he ultimately can't change it up. I'm obviously concerned about certain things and certain matters within in-game management, tactics, how he does things in-game. Even in his interviews and things like that, it can drive me insane. But if we're going to stay with Farke here, 49ers have got to back them on. Now, we have 6 games and I'm not going to shy away from it. We can get something. Forget about the 4 off the international break. These 2 in isolation, the Brighton and Forest, we can get something out of these games. I was more sceptical before I seen the first half performance the other day, and it blew me away. I am so looking forward to this Brighton game, because I think it's a true test of where we are mentally as a team. Because Brighton have got the ability to trouble on Man City, but we've also got the ability to beat Brighton. And I think we can. But it just depends who comes up, who turns up on the day. What our tactics are. Who's fit. Anyway, I'm going to log off now. Thanks for getting this far, if you did get this far. Like, comment, subscribe if you can. I'll be doing another couple of videos through the week, I'm sure, especially whenever Daniel Farke was doing the presser. By the way, it was interesting, the 49ers were over. I wonder will they be over for this week as well, for down in Brighton. And the next 2 games are away from home. And then obviously the Rangers scenario, Donny Rawls up there now. So Rangers have kicked on a bit in the league now. So they're probably looking at an investment and thinking, we need to get this right. Financially, for Leeds and Rangers, they've got to get both clubs right. They're under big pressure. If Farke gets something against Brighton and he gets something against Forest, forgetting about what happens after the international break and up until the 14th of December, the 49ers are going to be a massive pressure or under massive pressure to back the man come January. Because if he picks up points in the next 2 games, 7 to 9 points, for example, out of these last 4, it's on them. Underwood sat in that crowd the other day, and I saw him, and I thought, you're a snake. You're not fit for the job. It is what it is. Listen, thanks for logging in, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Thanks. Like, comment, subscribe, remember.